Every god in this story already knows exactly how he is going to die. Odin knows a wolf will swallow him whole. Thor knows he will slay a great serpent, walk 9 steps, and fall dead of its venom. Freyr knows he will face a giant of fire with no sword in his hand. They have been told, and they march out to meet it anyway. This is Ragnarok, the Norse end of the world. A 3-year winter with no summer. A ship built from the fingernails of the dead. A sky torn open by fire. You have probably heard it called the day everything ends. But the Norse would say you stopped reading too early. Because to them, the end of the world was never truly an ending. It was a winter the world must pass through to be born green again. Ragnarok is not an apocalypse. It is a turning of the wheel.
Start with the word itself, because almost everyone gets it wrong. Ragnarok comes from Old Norse, Ragna, of the gods, Rok, fate, doom, final destiny. Together, they mean the fate of the gods, not their sunset, their reckoning. But a second version crept in, Ragnarökr, which swaps that last word for twilight, the twilight of the gods. It was likely a poet's pun, and when the composer Richard Wagner built his great opera around that phrase, the mistranslation became famous forever. Beautiful and wrong. Most scholars today keep the older, harder meaning, the fate of the gods, the doom they cannot escape. Hold on to that difference, because it points at the real shape of this story. Not a candle burning down to nothing, but a wheel. Destruction on one side, rebirth on the other. Forever turning. So how do we know any of this? The tale survives in 2 great works. The first is a poem, the Völuspá, the prophecy of the Seeress. In it, a dead woman, a Seeress, rises at Odin's command and tells him the fate of the world, including his own death. Picture that. A god listening to a ghost describe exactly how he will fall. The second work is the Prose Edda, written around the year 1220 by an Icelander named Snorri Sturluson. And here we owe you the truth. All of this was written down more than 200 years after Iceland turned Christian. Snorri was a Christian scholar, preserving the old pagan stories of his ancestors. So we are not reading scripture. We are reading a late window onto a faith already fading. Keep that in mind. It will matter before the end.
The end does not begin with fire. It begins with cold and with people. The Völuspá describes an age of collapse before the sky ever breaks. An axe age, a sword age, a wind age, a wolf age. Brothers will kill brothers. Kinship itself will be defiled. The world rots from the inside first. Then comes the winter. The Norse called it Fimbulwinter, the mighty winter. Not one hard season, but 3, one after another with no summer between them. Snow drives in from every direction. The sun still shines, but gives no warmth. Crops fail. Herds die, and starving men turn on one another until the last bonds of family and honor break. This is how the Norse imagined the world beginning to die. Not with a bang, with a long, killing cold. Then the chains begin to break. High above, 2 wolves have chased the sun and the moon since the dawn of time. Now, at last, they catch them. The sun is devoured, the stars go out, and in the darkness, the great wolf Fenrir, bound for ages by a magical fetter, snaps it and rises, his jaws stretching from the earth to the sky. In the sea, the world serpent Jormungand thrashes toward land, and the oceans climb. And a bound god drags himself free. Loki. Now forget what the films told you. Loki is not Thor's brother.
In the myths, he is the son of a giant, Farboti, and the sworn blood brother of Odin himself. Fenrir, the wolf, Loki's son. The serpent in the sea, Loki's son. And Hel, who rules the land of the dead, Loki's daughter. The chaos he fathered has come home. Even Yggdrasil, the great tree that holds all 9 worlds together, shudders to its roots. The cage of the old order is breaking open.
Across the 9 worlds, the alarm sounds. 3 roosters crow at once. 1 in the halls of the gods, 1 in the forest of the giants, 1 in the kingdom of the dead. A monstrous hound bays at the mouth of its cave, and on the rainbow bridge stands the watchman of the gods, Heimdall, who has kept his eyes on the horizon since the world was young. He lifts a great horn to his lips, the Gjallarhorn, and he blows. One long note, so loud it carries across every realm. Every god knows what it means. Now the enemies come. From the sea sails a ship called Naglfar, built entirely from the untrimmed nails of the dead. And at its helm, the Völuspá tells us, stands Loki, steering the doomed toward the gods. And from the south, from the fire world of Muspelheim, rides the giant Surtr, his sword brighter than the sun. As his army crosses the rainbow bridge, it shatters beneath them. There is no road back now. They all meet in one place. A vast plain the Norse called Vígríðr, 100 leagues on every side. On one edge, the frost giants, the fire giants, the dead of Hel, the monsters, and the traitor. On the other, the gods of Asgard and the fallen warriors of Valhall, the honored dead, gathered lifetime after lifetime for exactly this day. The 2 armies look across the field at one another. Every soul there already knows how it ends. They charge anyway. The battle breaks into single combats, the greatest duels ever imagined. Odin rides straight for the wolf, the All-Father, wisest of the gods, who gave an eye for wisdom, and still could not outrun his fate. Fenrir's jaws open wider than the world, and they close. Odin swallowed whole. In one instant, the greatest of the gods is gone. But Odin has a son, a silent, almost forgotten god named Vígríðr. He strides to the wolf, plants one great boot on its lower jaw, seizes the upper, and tears the beast apart. The father is avenged. Nearby, Thor meets his oldest enemy, the world serpent. Hammer against venom, Thor swings Mjolnir and shatters the serpent's skull. The monster is dead, and Thor turns and walks away. 1 step, 2. The Völuspá counts them for us. 9 steps. On the 9th, the venom reaches his heart, and the thunder god falls. He killed the thing that killed him. It is the whole spirit of the Norse world in a single image. All across the plain, the old order and the old chaos destroy each other together. Freyr, god of the harvest, faces the fire giant and falls, for long ago he gave his sword away for love and now stands defenseless. The one-handed god Tyr and the hound of Hel kill each other, and Heimdall, the watchman, meets Loki, the betrayer, one last time. Order and chaos face to face, and they strike each other down together. Then Surtr raises his burning sword and flings fire across the whole of creation. The Völuspá says it plainly. Flame licks the very sky, the mountains fall, and the earth, the whole earth, sinks beneath the sea. The sun is black, steam roars where the world used to be. Everything that ever was is gone. This is where most tellings stop. And this is exactly where the Vikings would tell you to keep listening. Because the story does not end in the dark water. Slowly, the Voluspa says, the earth rises a second time out of the sea. Green, new. Waterfalls pour down fresh cliffs. An eagle hunts over the mountains, and fields no one has sown begin on their own to grow. A handful of gods have survived the fire, Odin's sons and Thor's sons, who carry their father's hammer between them. They gather on a green field where Asgard once stood, and there, in the new grass, they find something that stops the heart. The golden game pieces the old gods once played with, lying scattered, waiting. A whole world, starting over from a game left in the grass. And then, out of the land of the dead walk two figures the gods had long since mourned. Balder, the shining god of light murdered ages ago, and his blind brother beside him. Death itself gives them back. The best of the old world returns to rule the new one.
And the humans? Two survived. A man and a woman, Líf and Lífþrasir, whose names mean life, and the one who yearns for life. While the world burned, they hid inside the great tree Yggdrasil, and fed on nothing but the morning dew. Now they step into the dawn, and from these two the earth is peopled again. Above them climbs a new sun. For before the old sun was swallowed, she had borne a daughter. And now that daughter rides her mother's path across a brand new sky. Here, honesty demands one caveat. Some scholars suspect this green rebirth may be a later addition, an echo of Christian hope stitched in as the old faith faded. It is debated, but it is there, in the oldest sources we have. The people who first told this tale chose to end it not in ash, but in dew and daylight, and a world made young again.
So what did the Norse understand that we so often forget? To them, the end of the world was not a wall, it was a wheel. Winter, death, and fire, then spring again without fail. Destruction was not the opposite of creation, it was the doorway to it. And notice how the gods met it. They knew exactly how they would die, and they did not hide or beg or run. They took up their weapons and walked out to meet a fate they could not escape, with dignity. Because to the Norse, the one thing you truly command is not whether you fall, but how. That is the heart of Ragnarok. Not the death of the gods, but the courage to face an ending, and the quiet promise that every ending feeds a beginning. Empires fall, gods fall, worlds fall, and still something green rises from the ash. If you'd like to see how a real empire lived that same truth, watch our story of the fall of Rome next. Subscribe and travel deeper with us into the myths and the history that still shape how we face our own endings. Because nothing that truly matters ever ends. It only turns.